Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about sequels. Specifically, the sequel to Smile, cleverly enough named Smile 2. Didn't work too hard for that one, did we? As I mentioned, Smile 2 is a sequel to the 2002 movie Smile. The first movie was based off of a 2020 short called Laura Can't Sleep. The star of the short is actually in the original movie, although she is not the main character of the movie. She does make a little bit more than a cameo, and she kicks ass, gotta tell ya. I loved the first Smile movie. If you're interested in watching a video about it, I would recommend Dylan's video. I will have that linked below. To give a very brief rundown on the first movie, our main character becomes infected with this evil, possibly demonic parasite after she witnesses a woman take her own life. This entity, demon, what have you, uses trauma to move from one person to another. To become infected, all you have to do is witness the death of an already infected individual. The infection causes the host to see things, hallucinate things, mostly people staring at them like a creep. But this entity has the ability to alter an infected person's reality in multiple different ways, leading the host to lose their freaking marbles, eventually taking their own life in front of another person to transfer the infection. The only way around it is to take another person's life and have a witness there, so the trauma, infection, whatever, will transfer to that witness. In the original movie, the infected person does not want to kill another individual. They don't want to murder somebody to save their own life.
I can't kill someone!
So eventually they just do the deed and transfer it to somebody else, a friend of theirs, actually. So let's go ahead and jump right into the sequel. The second movie pretty much picks up where the first one left off. The man who is currently infected was trying to help our main character in the last movie. He has now gotten himself infected after seeing her, do the deed. Sorry, YouTube won't allow me to say the S word. So, our buddy boy from movie number 1 at the beginning of movie number 2 is trying to go the route of murking somebody else and having a witness there so he can live. Now, this man was a cop or is a cop. It's kind of unclear his job status in the second one. But that knowledge that he is a cop kind of does come into play because the people he has selected to murder are drug dealers. So just kind of putting those together. He's a cop. He knows they're bad people. Thereby, he feels good enough taking their lives. So, cop buddy holds one guy up at gunpoint and manages to do the murking. He gets her done. Unfortunately, he gets himself shot in the process, and as a defense, he automatically pulls a gun and shoots his witness, killing him.
Incompatible with life type situation.
Real fucking fortunately for him, there was actually another witness there that he didn't even notice when he walked into this house. Unfortunately for him, as he's walking his little butt out there, the drug dealer's accomplices, I guess, show up. And a little bang fight starts to occur. Unfortunately, whilst running away from these people, he gets himself hit by a truck, and let's just say he becomes one with the pavement, resulting in him no longer living. This little section is almost like a cold open because our witness who saw this happen is not our main character. Our protagonist from this movie is called Sky Riley. And I don't know why, but that name bothers me so much. I want it to be Riley Sky. It has such a better mouthfeel. Sky Riley? Riley Sky. No, just... But anyway, Sky is a pop star. a superstar, if you will, who's just come back from about a year-long hiatus after a tragic injury from a car accident. This car accident actually resulted in the death of her boyfriend, who was, random actor guy. Oh my gosh, okay. So I didn't realize this while watching the movie because I haven't seen the live action Aladdin, but our main character played Jasmine in the live action Aladdin. Like, what a jump, Curly Pop, from Disney to this. Insane. I just snaps for you, babe. Stunning. Talk about a total 180. I don't know how she didn't get whiplash going from Aladdin to Smile to I don't think they could be more different. I don't think they could be any more different than they already are. After our little opening, we open up to the Drew Barrymore show. It's like actually Drew Barrymore, maybe even on the actual set of her talk show, and she's interviewing Sky Riley after her year-long hiatus, and Sky is talking about her upcoming world tour. She had to cancel her last world tour because, car accident and dead boyfriend and stuff like that. She also does briefly talk about her struggle with addiction, kind of like giving a general apology to her fans and her family and her team and yada yada, saying like, oh, I let you down and I'm gonna make it up to you and all that stuff that I'm sure her PR team told her to say. We do also get this like second of a flashback of Sky ripping out her hair seemingly during like a manic episode, which is, as the audience, I'm guessing, we're supposed to take as the reason for her new, like, super short, almost like pixie cut sort of a do. Okay, dear God. One thing about this movie that really just bothered me so bad. The movie was obviously sponsored by Voss Water because Sky chugs a whole ass water bottle probably no less than half a dozen times, maybe even more. And of course, it's like, the label right there. I understand needing sponsors, but product placement half a dozen fucking times in a movie is a bit ridiculous. Okay. Also, I bet that poor actress, on those days when she had to chug those water bottles in those scenes, she must have had to pee like 30 times in a day. It's like a full water bottle, and she just downs it. I'm telling you, like half a dozen times in this movie. Must have had to pee all the time. We do get to see Sky's injuries, which include a back injury. There's a few inch long scar on her back. There's also this huge midline scar running all the way, like almost stem to stern. Not quite, doesn't go up to her chest, but goes like past her belly button. Is absolutely huge. Seemingly from the car accident, meaning she got messed up internally in that accident. I mean, it did kill her boyfriend, so it wasn't nothing. But she got real messed up. We do get this scene after her Drew Barrymore interview. After we know she has had a problem with addiction in the past, this little case that she has that has 3 yellow pills in it. I don't know if they're meant to be like tramadol or Vicodin or something like that, but she's obviously not meant to have it because she jumps like a mile when she thinks somebody is about to see her with him and accidentally drops him down the sink. This leads her to contact her old dealer. This dealer is the one who witnessed our cops shooting at the beginning of the movie. So he's currently infected, and we find out it's been a few days since then. So he is in like the full swing of like paranoia, hallucinations. This demon is just got him by the balls, dude. When she gets there, he has this like huge katana thing and like holds it against her neck, thinking that she is some sort of like hallucination. He's losing it big time. She's there for Vicodin. Apparently that wasn't one of the things that she had an addiction issue with. However, when you do have an addiction, doctors will not prescribe you opioids, which Vicodin is. So that's what she is there for. And she says it's just for the pain in her back. To be fair, she is like dancing and in rehearsals, and I know back injuries can suck, but there is a reason why they don't prescribe addicts opioids. It's because they're incredibly addictive. And moving your addiction from one thing to another is not the way to get her done, friends and folks. Anyway, he's geeking out, but she's kind of desperate, so she decides to stick around while he goes in the back to get the goods. However, he's gone for a minute, and when he finally does come back, he runs into the room from the back, absolutely screaming about seeing something stand behind her. Now, viewers of the first movie know that this is his, like, death sequence. What he's seeing is, like, this crazy huge monster thing that's about to take him over and do the deed now that he has a witness to transfer the infection to. So, you know when you were in school and you would take, like, a binder or something like that, and you would, like, hit yourself in the forehead to, like, be funny or, like, make your friends laugh or something? Well, this is what our drug dealer guy does, except he does it with a 35-pound weight, resulting in no longer being alive.
Incompatible with life type situation.
And a very flat face. And because our lovely Sky is there to witness this, she is now infected. She considers dialing 911. She actually punches in 911 into her phone. And she doesn't hit call, I think because you can almost see it in her face. She's just like picturing the evening news. Like, Sky Riley found at dead drug dealer's apartment, drugs everywhere. And that would just be the absolute nail in the coffin of her career, for sure. Shit starts getting creepy for her absolutely right away. That night, after she runs home and showers, because, like, what the fuck else do you do after you see your drug dealer smash himself in the face? Genuinely, like, go home and take a shower. What else are you supposed to do? She goes to bed. She starts seeing creepy shit in the shadows. She sees, like, drug dealer guy standing there in her room, and she flips on the light, and suddenly he's gone. All that good stuff. The movie also, like, more than once in this, is something that they did quite effectively in the first movie. There are these, like, upside down shots, which are obviously meant to, like, skew the perspective, and it's meant to be scary, which can be effective, except that the movie does it like 3 or 4 times, and the more it does it, the less effective it becomes, and kind of the more annoying it becomes. Like, I'm not scared anymore, I'm just dizzy. Can we stop? Please. Thank you. Very small complaint for an otherwise pretty good movie. We learn that on the day-to-day, Sky is surrounded by 2 main people in her life. Her mother, who appears to be her manager, and this other guy who seems to be like an assistant. Which obviously, like, only being around 2 people who are either working for you or working with you, depending on how you look at it, can be kind of isolating. So her mom tries to convince her to contact her old friend Gemma, who I think used to, like, go on tour with her to kind of just be a person who wasn't there trying to make money off of her, you know? Now, she and Gemma haven't spoken in about a year, seemingly before the accident. She was a nasty little shit to Gemma. Just peep these messages, friends. Like, I understand when you are under the influence of drugs and alcohol, you can say and do some pretty shitty things. But let me tell you, I would not put up with somebody talking to me like that, and neither should you. Anyway, right before Sky is about to text her old friend, Gemma, she gets a text from an unknown number, which I don't think unknown numbers are, like, a thing anymore. Like, it would just show the number, but whatever, it's fine. She gets this text message from this unknown number asking if she knows drug dealer guy. I think his name is Lewis, but I can't be bothered to remember. So we as the audience are kind of like, okay, because we know the rules of the universe. So we're like, okay, is this the demon entity, whatever, just kind of screwing with her, or is somebody actually reaching out to her about this? Kind of like up in the air as far as we as the viewer are concerned. I talk English good. Right after that, we do get this scare with, like, her and drug dealer guy in the mirror. Sky is, like, standing, and then she sees dead drug dealer guy behind her. And something about this scare kind of felt a little bit off to me. I think because the perspective of it is so obviously different of like what her reflection would be when she's actually standing there in front of the mirror and what we see. So I think that kind of like threw me off for that particular scare because it definitely didn't get me. Anyway, her team come in the room right after this scare, and she is wearing this like butterfly outfit, obviously like trying it on for her tour, and she tells her mom like, I'm not wearing this. Because when a light is shown on her stomach, you can see the midline scar extremely well. So she refuses to wear it. Lock that in for later. It does come back. Next, we get some meet and greets, which are wild. Just the general population. Weird people out there. Gotta tell ya. And we meet Alfredo, who's got seemingly some sort of like skin condition and is hella in love with Sky, and he handles his feelings in a totally normal way. Kidding. She, of course, absolutely freaks out, and then the next person that she sees is this little girl who like won't stop smiling at her. This was another one of those things that I felt like could have been done just a little bit differently to make it better. I almost feel like we should have ended on the Alfredo scare instead of ending on kind of like the much calmer, slower scare of the little girl smiling at her. I thought it would have been such a nice build up, like creepy little girl smiling, and then like the Alfredo incident, and then scene over. That's just me personally. Now, after going through all of this, she calls her friend Gemma, the one that she was a total dick to, the one that she hasn't spoken to in like a year. She leaves a voicemail basically apologizing for being a little shit, and Gemma calls her right back and agrees to come right over. When Gemma gets there, Sky is having like a full-on mentee bee. She thinks the Alfredo guy is there in her apartment, standing in her closet, butt naked, because, you know, why not? We also get this lovely shot of like skid mark underwear. I don't know if that's meant to be scary, but it sure is gross. Anyway, nobody is actually there. She does tell Gemma about drug dealer guy making his face flat, at home facelift style. Anyway, after that, Gemma, being a sweetie, decides that she will spend the night with Sky to kind of keep her company, since she's like losing it just a little bit. And the next morning, Sky is a total dick to Gemma. First of all, she yells at her for not waking her up, even though she didn't tell Gemma like what time she needed to be up, and Gemma's like, bitch, I don't have your schedule. How was I supposed to know you needed to be up at a certain time? Then, after being a total shit to her, asks her to come on tour in like days when her tour starts. Gemma's like, yo, maybe we should have a conversation about that? And Sky is being a total diva. At rehearsal for the tour, Sky has another absolute freaking meltdown. There's like this hallucination she basically has of seeing and I think feeling her broken leg from the accident, which is another injury that she sustained. But after she falls on her butt screaming, she looks at her leg again and there's nothing wrong with it. She runs into her dressing room, which she sees has been completely and totally wrecked. She, again, has yet another diva moment, screaming, saying that her assistant was the one that did it because she just saw him walk out of the room. Earlier in the movie, Sky agreed to do this charity benefit, like for the kids kind of a thing. And of course, on the day that she's absolutely losing it, the day of like the rehearsal and the meltdown and, you know, fucking up the dressing room. Yeah, the benefits that night. I personally hated this whole scene. I watched the movie twice, once just to watch it and the second time to write the script for it. And the first time I watched the movie, I actually skipped through this scene because it's so like secondhand embarrassment inducing. It's not even really scary. So she is at this charity benefit and she's meant to be reading from a prompter. But the prompter that she's supposed to read from stops working and she proceeds to spout the craziest shit about being an addict and hating fame and thinking that getting famous is going to fix all of her problems, but it absolutely does not, because why would it? Just secondhand embarrassment inducing. Not really all that scary. Even at the end of it, when she sees her dead boyfriend, it's not scary. It's just almost painful to watch. Anyway, at the end of it, she knocks this old lady off the freaking stage. Anyway, at this point, she is like full on, total meltdown. Just like, there is no longer small minty bees, it is just like she is a mental breakdown just walking around. So she decides to respond back to the person, this unknown number that's been texting her. I think the first few messages were like, were you at drug dealer's apartment? I know you're a famous person, Sky, famous person. And I think it also says like, everything that's happening to you is real. You're not crazy. It's not all in your head. So after that message and her mental breakdown on stage at the charity gala, benefit, whatever, she decides to respond back to this person that she does not know and meet them, this person that she does not know, at a bar. Because nothing's gonna go wrong with that. This recovering addict, alcoholic, going to a bar. Famous person. I will admit that she does try to go incognito with like this like huge puffer jacket and a ball cap, but like, did COVID not happen in this universe? Wear a fucking mask. Covers like 75% of your face. Whatever. So this person that has been texting her is that guy from the later seasons of House. Like the only thing I know him from. But no, he's literally just this random guy who says he got her phone number because he managed to track down drug dealer guy and went to his apartment and then found his phone, unlocked it, and got her number. And she doesn't question that at all. Not even a little bit. Okay, girly pop, I know you're having a minty bee, but let's use some common freaking sense here, please. Guy from House does an exposition dump of everything that we already learned from the first movie of like how the creature works and jumping from one person to another. He tells Sky that he knows about all of this because his brother was infected like 8 people ago, and he's been trying to track down everybody and get to somebody before they're actually dead, which he's been unsuccessful at 8 times. Great track record, bud. Stellar. Anyway, dude from House says that he has a different idea for how to ixnay the onsterme. I don't know Pig Latin, leave me alone. So he tells Sky, hey, you can kill another person, or I have this idea that I don't know that will work. What if I kill you, but bring you back? And then it will kill the monster, which seemingly he has no proof that this is going to work. It's just an idea that he has in his head. Now we know that killing another person with a witness works because our main character in the first movie went to go talk to somebody in jail who it skipped over. He had managed to stay alive because he murked another person, and that's how we know that that works. But this guy is basically like, yeah, I'm a nurse, I can bring you back. I can kill you and I'll bring you back. If I have any nurses watching this, please let me know if you feel confident in your ability to kill somebody and then bring them back. Like, my god. Anyway, Sky is hella not down for the being killed by this random nurse man who she doesn't know, which, honestly, the most sane thing she's done in this movie was be like, no to that dude. Now, she does get recognized at the bar, but she, like, dips out real quick. Runs back to her place and tries to pack a bag because, evil entities can't cross state lines? I guess? I don't know what the logic is there. Anywho, she doesn't get too far in this process before hallucinating a whole team of people in her closet, of course, smiling at her. This group of people are basically like a flash mob in her apartment. They're like dance moving. Like, also, doesn't this one chick kind of look like Mamrie Hart? Just a little, like, no, yeah, kind of, a little. Anyway, the flash mob basically like pounce on her after their little dance, their little get down. The flash mob like rips out a chunk of her hair, leaving like this big hole on her scalp, and then somebody shoves like a hand down her throat. And right after, we get the flashback to her car accident. Now, throughout the movie, it's kind of like a little bit peppered in, but definitely not as well peppered in as the backstory in the first movie. So this is the car accident that she got in a year ago that resulted in her boyfriend dying. We learn that she and the boyfriend were doing a little in the car and just came from a party, so it probably had some alcohol in their system too. Don't recommend the crossfade. Definitely don't, friends and folks. Don't recommend it. Not that I would know. So anyway, we see that they're both effed up big time. And they are having a fight. And Sky is like manic. She's the one that starts the fight, although her boyfriend is saying really nasty things to her. So in retaliation, Sky grabs the steering wheel and turns them off the road. So she was the reason that the car crashed. But she really hasn't told anybody about this. So that's just been living inside of her. Which, let me tell you, you got something that nasty inside of you, it's going to eat its way out of your body some way or another. So anyway, she was the cause of her boyfriend's death. That's the big revelation in the movie. After this revelation, we see Sky wake up in a wellness center. Apparently she was found having knocked herself out, and that huge chunk of her hair that's missing is actually freaking gone. Her mom is there and is basically refusing to believe her and thinks that she's relapsed. Sky is like begging, like, please let me quit the tour. I can't do this. And her mom's like, the only way you're quitting the tour is if you check into a rehab facility, because that's the only explanation for all of this. Now, one thing leads to another, and Sky sees her mom take a broken piece of glass and just like eviscerate herself. So Sky, covered in blood, busts out of the wellness center. Of course, she catches some attention on the way out and yoinks a gun off of a security guard and holds everybody up at pew pew point to get her way out of there. As she's running out of the wellness center, she sees Gemma. Now she runs over to the car that Gemma took, who apparently she was taken by, I guess Sky has like a driver. So Gemma was brought there by driver person. So Sky takes the pew pew that she has, holds it up to the driver guy and is like, get out of the car, I need this. And then Gemma is like, I'm coming with you. You don't know how to drive a car. I think they live in New York City. No, they do live in New York City. So I understand not knowing how to drive a car a little bit. But I feel like this is a common thread with famous people. I don't understand why you never think you're going to need to drive a car on your own. What if you end up in a horror movie? So anyway, they're in the car, Sky and Gemma. Sky is basically telling Gemma, like, pull over. I don't want you messed up in this. I ruin people's lives. I don't want to ruin your life. I don't want you affected by all of this. And Gemma's like, no, I'm your ride or die. While they're having this conversation, Sky sees that she's getting a phone call. And who is that phone call from? Gemma. Gemma never came over. Gemma has not been there. This was all a hallucination. Gemma's not even there in the car with her. She is driving the car, which I do have to admit was like a pretty good scare for me. Well, I guess it wasn't really a scare. It was more of like one of the shocking revelations of like, oh shit, that happened? What? So anyway, Sky has stolen the car to go meet the dude from House, Nurse Guy, at like a shut down Pizza Hut on Staten Island. Whatever. Like, I'm sorry. If you're gonna get murdered somewhere, it's probably gonna be in a shut down Pizza Hut that you go to. Just saying. So, our nurse guy, person from House, has set up something in the Pizza Hut freezer so that he can kill Sky and bring her back. So he like sets her down on this table and she has her little hospital gown on. She lays down waiting for him to like get started and he's like, hey, I gotta go get something real quick. And he walks out of the room. It turns out he was not real. And we find that out because he walks out of the room and never comes back. She does have a little battle, a little showdown with the demon, which results in her like biting its thumbs off, and it gets a little violent. I probably won't be able to show that on YouTube. This is a little violent for me because I had seen the first one and I knew what was happening. It wasn't all that scary for me. I think the scariest part of this scene for me was the shot of the demon with like his huge creepy little round eyes. I think that was the scariest part of it. But after this little showdown with the demon, after we find out nurse guy man from house wasn't actually real, the demon says like, none of this is real. And suddenly Sky is on stage at her tour. She walks out on stage and who does she see but her mom? So that whole thing about like her mom murking herself, not real. She walks out onto the stage. There's like a minute of her like kind of freaking out, doing some like choky coffee stuff, and we see Sky get taken over by our creepy monster. And there on stage at her first tour, Sky takes her microphone and inserts it into her eye socket, resulting in no longer living. And she has done this in front of a crowd of like thousands. And that's the end of the movie. That's literally the end of the movie. We see like the fans. We don't actually see Skylar do the inserting of the microphone. We see the fans like screaming about it. And then we see Skylar drop and then the result of the microphone. And that's the end of the movie. I'm very interested to see if they're going to do a third one, kind of picking up from the second one, because I think I'm interested to see what happens now after so many people witnessed Sky doing that. But a couple of things about this movie that didn't work as well as things in the first one did. The biggest final moments towards the end, I didn't find all of that scary. The nurse guy not really being there, I think could have been handled in a way that scared me a lot more than him just walking out the door and never coming back. There was definitely something about him just walking out and never coming back that didn't really work for me, scare-wise. Some things that I think they tried to recreate in the second movie that they did well in the first one but didn't come across as well in the second one was the flashbacks to the trauma. In the first movie, our main character was the reason that her mother overdosed. She witnessed her mother having an overdose and she just left her mom there, which resulted in her death. We get tiny little snippets of this all throughout the first movie, and for some reason it was so much more effective in the first movie than in the second movie with the car accident. I think because we got fewer snippets and we weren't given the ability to try and piece it together ourselves. Whereas in the first movie, you definitely were given all of the information to realize that she left her mom there before it like spelled it out for you. Personally, was not in awe of the second movie like I was with the first one. According to Rotten Tomatoes, I am one of the few people that believes this because the ratings for the second one are actually higher both in critics and in audience scores than the first one. Now, to be very clear, I don't hate this movie, not by any stretch of the imagination. I thought it was a pretty good fucking movie. Out of my personal criteria, I gave the movie a 4 out of 5. It's about an 80%, which I don't think is a bad rating because I didn't think it was a bad movie, not by any means. So, in conclusion, was the sequel better or worse than the original? I personally think the original was better. Again, I don't think the second movie was bad. I watched the whole thing and I did indeed enjoy it. There is a quality of original movies that is so hard to recreate in sequels. And I think this movie did everything right. It brought back the director of the first one. But to be honest, this was the first movie in a different flavor. And something about that is lacking for me, which makes total sense because I already know everything. Already understand everything about the premise and the big bad monster and like what's gonna happen. So it makes a lot of sense that it doesn't hit home for me quite like the first one did. With the success of the first and the second one, I would not be all that surprised to see Smile 3 come out eventually. And if it does come out, you can bet your booty I'm gonna make a video on it because the third one, I can almost promise you will fall flatter than this one. All right, that's all I have for you today. Go ahead and press some buttons down below if you're into that kind of thing. If not, I'll see you in the next one.